Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what is going on? This is Jeff Hartman, editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, with you for another episode of The Standard is the Standard. A little bit earlier tonight, 7:30, Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving. I'm off. Lance was working from home. We said, you know what? Today is the biggest party day of the year. I'm not partying. Lance probably is. Lance, what's going on? How are you doing?
Hey man, it's a great day the day before Thanksgiving before I can get absolutely insane with the knife and fork. It's going to probably start off tonight with a little bit of Netflix and The Irishman and some bullet bourbon. You know how we do in the holidays. It's time to bring it in merry and festively.
Yeah, and if you're watching us live on YouTube and you're in the live chat, as always, chime in, tell us where you're watching from. It's always crazy to see where everyone is tuning in if you're watching live on YouTube. If you didn't know we had a YouTube channel, go to YouTube and search BTSC Steelers Radio. You'll find the channel, subscribe, set up your notifications. Someone left a nasty message about me and Dave's last show about how I need to notify people that you got to turn your notifications on. So go into your settings and do so. But we're trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the season. We're almost to 5,000, and we're closer to there than 6. We'll put it that way. So make sure you subscribe. We'll make sure you subscribe. So Lance, you all geared up for Thanksgiving? You ready to go?
Yeah, I think I am. I think. Well, I'm not doing much except,
Are you hosting?
Yes, we are hosting. So I'm doing what most husbands do well on Thanksgiving: stay the hell out the way. So
hey, I'm grilling a turkey again. Grilling the turkey again.
You gotta post some flicks. You gotta you should post some video of you grilling the turkey.
I'll have it on my Instagram account. I'll definitely put it up on my Instagram account.
How about putting, do you have one of those brands? Maybe you can brand the Steelers emblem on the side of your turkey.
I don't. I wish I could, but I don't.
Ooh, Steeler turkey.
The turkey's in the brine already, man. It is gonna be delicious. I'm telling you.
Yes. Yeah, the brine in my house was smelling really good too. So it's brining right now as I speak as well.
Well, you know who else is getting ready outside of all those birds getting ready to get thrown in the oven? Pittsburgh Steelers have a huge game coming up in Week 13 with the Cleveland Browns. This game is the biggest game of the year, but it's just because it's the next one. It's a division game. And a win, would you agree, Lance, that a win would knock the Browns out of playoff contention? Not officially, but would kind of be like that last nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it'd be the left and the right hand before that left hook followed up. So it'd be the two of the three piece. Because if they get hit by the Steelers and get knocked out, on Sunday, especially if coupled with the Jets playing good football now, and if the Raiders win, I think the Raiders got KC coming up. Say if the Raiders won, Buffalo continues to win. If they win tomorrow, it could be a blow that the Browns might not recover from.
I like the sound of that. Let's do that. Let's beat those flipping Browns. Lance, you have the show all geared up, and we're going to talk about the title of this episode eventually. But go ahead. What do you want to start off with tonight?
You got any remaining thoughts from the Bengals game?
I can't. No. I want to say something, and I saw that Jeffrey Benedict, who's a writer for BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, I saw him in the live chat. He's probably watching live. He wrote a phenomenal article. He's doing a 2-piece film breakdown of Mark Barron. And this Mark Barron film breakdown was only of the Bengals game. And he didn't have a bad game against the Bengals, but I'm a guy that has trashed Mark Barron a good bit in my time.
He's become your new dud.
Yeah, because I gave Dud some credit. Like, he's not Jordan Berry. Like, Jordan Berry got no credit from me whatsoever. He hasn't reached that level. But I encourage everyone to go check out that film room, because I thought that Mark Barron had a really crappy game against Cincinnati, but he made a really, really good point, some really good illustrations with GIFs and things like that. So check that out. He actually played a good game. So maybe I'm a little harsh on Mark Barron. I don't know.
And Jeff, if you're listening to the program, I need those equations from that article when you were breaking down the stats that we talked about on my show about the Steelers in some of their success, that mid-season article. So if you could shoot me those, I think I sent you the email address. I'll reach out to you, Jeff. But yeah, he does a fantastic job. He
Yeah.
really breaks down things pretty solidly. But speaking on that game, let me ask you this in relation to that Bengals game. Do you think the Steelers found their offensive identity in that game? Did they find a formula? Maybe not a formula, but did they find a style of play that we think you'll
Are you
see?
serious?
I'm serious.
Oh my! They scored one touchdown.
I'm
What do I
serious
do?
though.
Okay, I know you're trying. You're really trying. They suck on offense right now. They have no identity. I mean, it's awful. I watch highlights. I actually watched a little bit of film. It's awful. It was awful when Mason Rudolph was in there. And let's be honest, outside of a couple big pass plays, mainly the 79-yarder to James Washington, it wasn't much better when Devlin Hodges was in there. They ran the ball better. And that's why a lot of people have a better feeling deep down in their bellies about the Steelers' offense right now. But the Bengals are also really bad. Let's not forget that too. They need to find an identity. And I know we're going to talk about Mike Tomlin here at some point in the show about did he handle the situation well in regards to, announcing on Tuesday that Devlin Hodges is a quarterback. We're going to talk about that. But he said in his press conference on Tuesday, basically, sum it up for you, just don't kill us. The quarterback, just don't kill us. That's all you got to do. I wrote an article today kind of countering that, saying that's not going to be good enough. It's not, because I don't care what defense you have. If you're playing an offense that is remotely mediocre to above average, they're going to score some points, period. You can't sit back and just say the defense will take care of it. Just don't kill us. Just don't turn it over. Mason Rudolph did that up until the Browns game, and it wasn't good enough. Devlin Hodges has a unique skill set. He's not scared, and I don't want to say that as if it comes off as Mason Rudolph was petrified, but you could see that Mason Rudolph wanted to always take the safe play. That's fact. Okay, and that's not always a bad thing. But Devlin Hodges, we talked about his pocket presence. I really hope, and I'm not holding my breath when I say this, because I know Randy Fichtner, what he's done the last 2 years, especially what he's done this year, he's probably going to roll out the same old stupid offense he has. But I really hope, really hope that they will actually say, you know what, let's tailor this game plan to this guy. Let's get him out of the pocket on design plays. Let's really hit those timing routes that Rudolph struggled with and Devlin Hodges seems to excel at. There is no recipe yet for this team, in my opinion, offensively. They still are looking for it, because to me, there's still what's going to work this week just to get us by. That works, but it's not good enough for me.
I don't disagree with you entirely, but I think in the Bengals game, they did find sort of, I'm not going to say a recipe, and I'm not going to say a good recipe at that, because a good recipe is that recipe for that sweet potato pie or that pumpkin pie or that grilled or roasted or brine turkey that all of us are going to eat tomorrow. Those are good recipes because the results are good.
Yeah.
They found an identity, not a good recipe. I think their identity moving forward, whether it would have been Mason Rudolph or Devlin Hodges, and we talked about how we thought that the play, that the level of balance or the disparity between pass and run was off kilter. There was way too many passes to runs. There wasn't enough balance. I think they're going to be more balanced. In fact, I think they figured out, look, both of these guys really can't play. As indicated by Mike Tomlin in his great comment, I hope he just doesn't kill us. I think that says it all. And when he said that, I was driving home in a long commute and I almost crashed and hit a car, because that was some of the funniest sound that I've heard in a while. But I think the identity for them on offense, whether it be a good recipe or not, will be it's going to look like old school Steeler football. They're going to take 2 steps back to hopefully take 1 step forward, and that they're going to run the football. They're not going to try to have the quarterback kill them. And when I think what he meant by I hope he doesn't kill us is turn the ball over. And what's your thoughts about Tomlin really pointing out that the reason why Mason Rudolph was benched was because of that, killing them by turning over the football?
I think that personally, my thought is that the red zone turnover was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because sometimes you're going to take a chance, you're going to take a risky play, and sometimes those go into the hands of the wrong player. That happens. It happens to every quarterback, from Tom Brady to Aaron Rodgers on down to Ben Roethlisberger. But the one thing for me is that when you're having mistakes that are taking points off the board, that's a bigger issue. And so you're coming off a 4-interception game in Cleveland. You have 10 days to prepare. You come out flat. The offense doesn't look good. Not saying it's all Mason Rudolph's fault. And then when you finally get the ball into the red zone, you turn it over. Okay. And even then, people forget, he gave him another drive to start the third quarter. He didn't make the switch at halftime. He said, I'm going to give Mason the Steelers got the football to start the third. I'm going to give him a shot, see what he does. And he went 3 and out. And after that, done. Pulled him off the field. And I honestly, I was fine with it in game. And I've been a Mason Rudolph supporter this entire time. I thought that he gave him the best chance to win. Clearly, he might not anymore. Whether that's due to concussion, whether that's due to the week of turmoil and allegations from Myles Garrett, I don't know. But I do know that right now, I think he made the right choice of going with Devlin Hodges. Was it solely based on turnovers? 5 interceptions in 2 games is tough to deny. You know what I mean?
I think one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong with the number, I think they've scored 3 touchdowns in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
I think that's what they said on their stat geek.
Yeah, I think they scored 3. If you score 3 touchdowns in 12 quarters, along with turnovers, and see that really illustrates and highlights your point, because they're so challenged at scoring, you cannot commit red zone turnovers. You just can't do it because they just don't score a lot of points. I believe they're scoring less than 20 points per game, and so with the theme of I hope he just doesn't kill us. And applying that to Mason Rudolph, turnovers and them not scoring. I mean, and those things will kill you in football games. You just won't win if you don't score and you turn the ball over. But let's look at a 64,000 view. Let's extrapolate and let's take a bigger holistic viewpoint. I think we both agree with the benching, but does this say anything about Mason Rudolph's future with the Steelers? And this goes to the question of the show. Is the Steelers' future quarterback actually on the roster?
I got to be honest. When you sent me that text today, and I said, well, we need to figure out what our title of our show is going to be tonight, and you sent me that, I was on the golf course. I almost started laughing out loud in the golf cart because I'm thinking, hell no, that quarterback's not on the roster. Are you serious? People are going to laugh at us. The live chat's going to be saying, oh my gosh, look at these bozos. They're thinking that this. I don't think it is, personally. I think that Mason Rudolph, while he has potential, the NFL is, as Mike Tomlin says, is a moving train. And it doesn't slow down for anyone. And it seems like he would have to be in a position where the team is basically just going to kind of be slowly rebuilding. That's not the Steelers. They want to be competitive every single year. Devlin Hodges, I have to admit that I have to kind of take a non-stance. We'll call it. I'll have to take a Dave Schofield here and say that there's sorry, I'm gonna hedge here a little bit.
Gonna hedge here. Whoa! I want to go ahead.
But I haven't seen enough of him, and neither have you. Because let's be honest, we saw preseason against scrubs. We saw him come in and play well against the Ravens in garbage. Well, no, it was in garbage time. He got him to overtime. He beat the LA Chargers thanks to James Conner, and that's about all we've seen up until the Bengals game when he comes in and makes a couple big throws. So I'm going to say no to that. That I don't think that Devlin Hodges is the guy. Maybe he'll be a Kurt Warner that stuns everyone and he becomes the next quarterback. But as of right now, I'm going to say no. What do you think?
Just keeping it on this theme before I give you my answer. On the Thanksgiving theme, is duck really a turkey? I mean, is he really a turkey? And Steeler Nation, just because the quarterback play has been so inconsistent, we're trying to make Devlin Hodges something more than what he is. Is he just a duck that's really a turkey?
Gosh, we really talk. Oh boy, we are just all birded out right now. What answer the question at hand? Let's forget the turkey talk. Is he the future quarterback? It looks like Lance is frozen in time. If you're watching on YouTube, that's hysterical. Hopefully, Lance will be back. I want to talk about a couple things here until Lance gets his way back. And there were a couple comments that were made about the upcoming quarterback position. Let's see here. See if I can remove got Lance off there. There you go. It was basically about how a lot of people were saying we were talking about Devlin Hodges. I think that Devlin Hodges is the answer for this week. People are talking about it like long term and things like that. I'm not so sure what's going on with what the Steelers are thinking in return to someone said Lance's frozen face is hilarious. I could put it back up there. Oh no, he's blacked out now. So we'll get him back up. I guess my question is, we got him. There he is. He's back. You there, Lance? No? Oh boy. Okay. Let's see. Nope, that's not good either. I apologize for this, folks. Let's go ahead and talk about. Here we go. I think we have him now. You there, Lance? Nope. What do you guys have some? Let's do some questions. I know Lance is going to be back, and I want to hold up on the show until he comes back. Let's do some questions here.
I think I am back.
Oh, he is back.
I don't know. See, I spoke illy of the Steelers quarterback position and Duck and all those guys and quack quack.
Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen what's in the top corner of the screen? It's a little duck.
Yeah, the duck's on me. It's powered by Duck, so the duck's on me. But what I was saying is, obviously, I don't think the starting quarterback of the future, outside of Ben Roethlisberger, is on the roster. I think what we've seen this year is who's actually competing to be the number 2 guy moving forward. And it'll be interesting to see if Devlin Hodges performs and plays fairly well over the last stretch of games. Let's just look into the crystal ball and say, let's say the Steelers go to the playoffs. He plays pretty good football. They go to the playoffs, get beat in the first round. I think you have a legitimate question as to who's your number 2 quarterback. I don't know if pedigree can save Mason Rudolph if Devlin Hodges outplays him over the stretch. I don't think him being benched is an indictment on his future with the Steelers per se. I just think it's sort of what Tomlin said. This is a week-to-week thing. We have to see who's the best player. But speak to, Mason Rudolph's future with the organization, and do you really think it's a week-to-week thing? Because in my opinion, I think Devlin Hodges should start the rest of the season.
Well, I think that he should start the rest of the season until he proves otherwise, and maybe he doesn't. It's just like with Mason Rudolph. He was the starter until he proved that maybe he shouldn't be starting right now. Whether that's a mental lapse, whether that's physical, it doesn't matter. So for me, I think that it's not a week-to-week thing. I think Tomlin's just kind of covering his bases. I do want to talk about how I think Tomlin completely screwed the pooch with the upcoming game and the announcement of who's starting. But Lance,
I was gonna ask you that. Go into that. What's your thoughts on that? Because I was kind of mixed. I was really surprised that he came out and said it, and my perspective was, I think his expectation or what he thinks about either player is kind of, the expectations are so low. I mean, the guy just said, "I hope he doesn't kill us." That he probably thinks, who the hell cares? Like what does it matter? Like, there's not a ton of tape on Devlin Hodges anyway. So, I mean, what does it matter? they're both pretty average players. And if we win this football game, it's not necessarily going to be about them. It's going to be about what other people do around to support them. So whatever. That's a little arrogant, but what's your thoughts, Jeff?
I understand what Rod says, and in the live chat, he said that it was going to leak anyways, and I get that. But at the same time, I wanted Tomlin to say, you know what, we're not sure what we're going to do yet. Meanwhile, in the locker room, they've already had a talk with Mason Rudolph and said, hey, you're not starting this week. It's going to be Devlin Hodges. So Devlin Hodges would have gotten the majority of snaps and all this stuff, but have all the players all week just say, you know what, we're not sure. You're playing the Cleveland Browns, divisional rival, a huge game. You win this game, you're really propelling yourself into that AFC playoff picture, not just huddling around that in the hunt group right on the outside looking in. I understand that Tomlin basically, like you said, there's nothing to lose. We're just going to put him out there and say this is our guy. But I never thought that he was going to come out and just blatantly say Devlin Hodges is our quarterback this week. I thought that he would tease it out a little bit. I thought that he could have.
He didn't tease anything. He didn't tease nothing.
Everyone was shocked. Dave and I were texting because we always do before the press conference about, okay, what are you going to cover? I always typically do the injuries. Dave will take another angle from the press conference. And he said, what about the quarterbacks? I was like, he's not going to say a word. And next, he says that. And we both went, whoa, like what? that was a shock. So, I didn't expect it. I'll put it that way. Didn't expect that at all.
I'm not a body language watcher. Sometimes when people watch body language, I think it's kind of weird sometimes. Oh, look at his body language, and people try to, figure out what someone's thinking. But I'll say in this situation, his body language on the sideline, Mason Rudolph's was very telling. He looked like, to me, he was kind of glad he was out of the game. Not to say that he wasn't. He's not a competitor. It just felt like the moment was pretty big, that everything was pretty big for him. But one thing that I saw on the sidelines at the end of the game, I don't know if you remember, Jeff, Kevin Colbert was talking to Mason Rudolph at the end of the game. And you rarely see shots of Kevin Colbert. I wonder if Kevin Colbert was saying, we're going to sit you down next week. I think they had the decision as to who they were going to start pretty much after Devlin Doug Hodges threw that touchdown pass to James Washington. It was pretty cemented at that particular moment.
You're right. They don't show Kevin Colbert much on the sideline. Normally, if you see Kevin Colbert on the sideline, bad things are happening. The most memorable moment that I saw Kevin Colbert on the sideline was in Cincinnati in 2017 December, when Ryan Shazier on Monday Night Football was basically unable to move his lower extremities, and you could see Kevin Colbert go to Mike Tomlin and say he can't move his legs. You could read his lips, and it was tough. I don't know, that was a weird exchange between the two guys on the sideline. Yeah. I disagree, though. I'm a huge proponent of body language.
Ooh.
Body language doesn't lie. Facial expressions, not too many guys can keep that, especially in a sport that's as emotional as football, a team sport, the way people interact. You know who had the most distinct body language that was, in my opinion, anti-Mason Rudolph on the Steelers offense?
Deontay Johnson.
No. Vance McDonald.
Okay.
Vance McDonald, if you went back, because, here's a guy that's good friends with Ben Roethlisberger. He was supposed to be a huge part of that offense this year. Ben's out, and all of a sudden he's not getting the ball at all. And when he was getting the ball, they were skipping to him, throwing it over his head. You could just see he was so frustrated with the fact that this quarterback couldn't and sometimes wouldn't give him the football. And so I don't think but Deontay Johnson, you saw it from him?
Oh, yeah, I saw, on film. Sometimes on film, you can see some stuff like after the play. There was a couple deep shots that he had Deontay Johnson wide open when the safety had his back to the boundary in cover two, and he's running up the safety's back, and he's wide open for a touchdown. You could just see Deontay Johnson just throw his hands to the ground, shoulders slumping like, geez, dude, like, I'm wide open. Please, like, man, like, this dude missed me again. I mean, that's what it looked like. But I did get the sense that, players didn't have confidence in him anymore. And it's the energy that we talked about when we talked about this preseason, when he played so well, when he was competing for the number 2 position. when he would come in and play, the offense would get energized. You could see the energy. You could see the difference in the offense. I thought the team played with a lot more confidence and a lot more energy, a little bit of spunk for whatever it meant in that game. But let's get off that game. That game's in the past. We're going into the big divisional matchup, the rematch, so to speak, the brawl to settle it all at Heinz Field or whatever it is. I love when they characterize football games as boxing rematches, like it's the Thriller in Manila or something. But before we jump into it, give me your injury updates. What's it look like for Juju and those guys?
Juju didn't practice. James Conner didn't practice. Alejandro Villanueva was a limited participant with a shoulder injury, so that's something of note. That was really it. Artie Burns, if you want to count him, which I guess he counts. He didn't practice.
I guess he counts.
he is. He's basically. He was out as well. Speaking of Juju, though, Thomas White brings this up. Did you see the video from Juju's Instagram story where he was filming himself going 104 miles an hour on the interstate?
I heard about that, but is he out? He's out of the protocol, right?
He was officially announced today that he's been released from the protocol, so he'll be interviewed this week.
I guess he's trying to put himself back in the protocol. That's just not smart.
Yeah, the guys that run our social media, that run our basically Facebook and Twitter outside of the games, they sent me that video and they said, "Hey, we want to run with this." I'm like, no, I don't. It's just we'll let other outlets deal with that. And this is crazy, man. I know he has a self-driving car, so I don't know if he was in that self-driving car.
What I mean, was it a Tesla?
I don't know what he was driving, if that was a Tesla or not. But man, 104 miles an hour is 104 miles an hour. So I'm sure he'll be himself. But here's the thing. Here's what I thought about. Juju is, if he has, we always talk about how he's super smart, right? He gets it. He better get it quick because you will start to see, and it's already happening. What's happening this year? He's not producing. What else is happening this year? He's had another key turnover, another key fumble, that Baltimore overtime. He's injured now. If he starts doing stuff off the field that people don't like, guess what's going to happen?
They're going to turn on him.
Exactly. They're going to start turning on him. So in other words, if he's as smart as we gave him credit for in the offseason dealing with Mr. Third and Fifth and all his shenanigans, he's got to get it together. And meaning, if you're going to go 104, you just don't film it and put it on your Instagram story.
Well, here's the one thing that where Juju has the potential for it going wrong. Juju likes to be seen.
Absolutely.
Juju likes to be seen. Juju likes attention, and Juju craves attention. Now, I think some of the things that he does off the field, hopefully, are from the kindness and goodness of his heart, and that they're coming from a good place. But they get him the same thing, attention. Juju likes attention. Juju likes the spotlight. But what Juju will have to realize is that the spotlight comes from how you produce when the bright lights are on, when the spotlight is really on you. So if you're balling, it'll work for you. But if you're a scrub receiver getting 55 catches, nobody's going to care that you have a pet dog and you go to the prom. So hopefully Juju can reel it back in, because life without Ben or life without a premier quarterback, and nobody really cares if Juju has a bulldog or drives 104 or whatever. So hopefully Juju can reel it back in. But good. I'm glad he cleared the protocol.
Yep.
It looks like James Conner's going to be out for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. So that means I'm assuming that Jalen Samuels will get the start at running back again. Or will it be
Benny No Jets?
Or will it be Benny No Jets? What's your thoughts on that? Who'll get the start at the quarterback? At the running back position?
Chalk me up as stunned how little Jalen Samuels was used in that game in Week 12. And I don't know if that was by design, if he's in somebody's doghouse. But someone tell me how you turned. Okay, so you have a rookie that is coming off a knee injury that saw him miss at least 3 games. I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4. At least 3 games. He is a rookie, and Mike Tomlin talks about how that is so important because the preparation, the experience, yada, 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 all that stuff. You turned to him as your primary running back instead of the second-year guy that tallied up 142 yards against the Patriots as a rookie in week 15 of last year and has done a pretty good job spelling James Conner. You turn to Benny No Jets instead of Jalen Samuels, a proven commodity versus an unproven commodity in a game that was absolutely critical. That tells me something's up. Something's up.
Shame on you, Jeff.
For what?
Shame on you. You're trying to apply logic to Randy Fiedner.
Good point. My bad.
Shame on you, Jeff. It must be that tryptophan.
Not yet.
That pre-tryptophan that's going to kick in. You tried to apply logic to Randy Fiedner and to some of the things that the Mike Tomlin-led Pittsburgh Steelers do. Come on, man. You know better, Jeff. That's a foul, Jeff. I'm going to put you in a penalty box for 5 minutes for what is that? An unsportsmanlike major. Yeah, see, I was going to try to really impress you if I got the penalty. I know sticking or high sticking.
Yes.
High sticking. Yeah, I know. What's the offsides? A blue line pass?
Well, no. The offsides is based on the blue line. They used to have a 2-line pass that was since eliminated from the rules.
Yes, I remember the 2-line pass. I think that was like Bossy and those guys. People don't probably even know who Mike Bossy is.
Well, even back when Mario played, the 2-line pass was a part of the game.
See, I know a little bit of hockey. I was going to wear a Stanley Cup hat to really impress you because I have my Penguin Stanley Cup hat.
I could be rocking my retro gin and juice Penguins jersey right now. I just forgot to put it on.
The Snoop Dogg gin and juice retro.
Right, that's my favorite.
With the Pittsburgh.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, logic in Randy Fiedner and some of the stuff that they do, I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, they had Zach Bannon running routes in the game last week. That was the funniest thing I've seen on film this year.
They had Zach Bannon running routes?
He was running routes.
Are you serious?
He ran an out route.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he did not.
He ran an out route. Yes, he did. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I almost threw up. I was watching it like,
well, you know, there's a famous play in Oakland, and you probably were at the game. That was the game where the Steelers' first play from scrimmage was Terrell Pryor running 90 whatever yards for a touchdown.
Don't let me start.
You were there. I know you were there. You told us that story before. But still, there was a play in that game where Mike Adams was just randomly running around the field because he was the eligible tight end that came in, and they had him run a route, and he was on film just running. Just I don't get it.
Famously, if you guys have not heard the story, I was watching Terrell Pryor's back running towards the end zone with Troy Polamalu looking like he had a refrigerator on his back trying to chase him because it took like 45 minutes to get in. And the only thing I heard was Raiders before I even sat down. And I was like, okay, it's one of those days. But before we get into the breakdown of the Big Browns game this weekend, what's your thoughts, Jeff, on David DeCastro being fined $14K for his role in the Browns melee?
Man, that's a cowardly move by the National Football League because he wasn't listed amongst that spreadsheet that you had sent me that was released by Adam. His name was not on there. He gets $14,000 for being a peacemaker. Watch the film of that whole exchange. He could have pulled a Marquise Pouncey on Myles Garrett.
Oh, he could have tuned him up. He had him prone. He could have tuned him up,
and he didn't. And he gets fined $14,000 for that? Come on, man.
Yeah, because me and my pop kind of went back and forth on what kind of happened. And he could have tuned him up, and Filer could have tuned him up as well. It could have been a 3-on. They could have really tuned Myles Garrett up. I mean, they had Myles Garrett pretty much pinned off in the end zone, and all Filer had to do was turn around, and they could have just wailed on Myles Garrett. And really did that guy some serious harm. Yeah, I thought that was a cop-out fine from the NFL. I think, it feels like the Browns complained,
about
somebody complained.
What did he do? That's the thing. He did nothing. He's either going to let his quarterback get hit in the head with a helmet, his helmet, as he doesn't have a helmet on. Was he going to do? Just stand there? Up? Oh, okay, I'll let this assault happen.
Yeah, they should have gave him $14K for not pounding on Myles Garrett when he had him face down in the end zone
That's
with his
right. The
face in
NFL should
grass.
give him money to his charity of choice for what he did. Because
Yeah, I think that's bogus. I thought that was really a cop out by the league.
Well, hey, I have a super chat here. Want to get to quick question from Snowman. He gave us $5. We appreciate that. He says, if Mason and Duck Hodges are not the future, do the Steelers draft a quarterback in 2021 or go into free agency?
For me, quarterback is the most valuable position in the league, obviously. There's no question of that. I think that's hashtag facts. If they find one next year, draft one. I mean, because you're in a division where you have Lamar the freak show. Lamar is the absolute freak show for the Ravens. How long it lasts, we don't know. But anytime you have 15 completions and of those, 5 of those are touchdowns, you're a complete freak show. They beat the absolute doors off the Rams. And you've got Baker Mayfield, an overall number 1 draft pick overall. And you got the Bengals, who are going to probably finish winless, which is great. And they're going to draft their future franchise quarterback. They'll probably draft Barrow from LSU. So you got to have a signal caller of the future, like quickly, because as much as we like Ben Roethlisberger, and I don't know if you saw Ramon Foster's tweet about, fans shouldn't have anything critical to say about Ben Roethlisberger because you see how good Steeler fans had it with Ben, basically illustrating just how difficult it is to find a guy. So with that being said, the Steelers have to find their next guy. You don't want to be that team in a division that has possibly discovered their franchise guys and you don't have one. That's a recipe of getting your head beat in for years. So I'm all for it. If they found one, if Herbert from Oregon was sitting around in the 3rd round, draft him. Find one. As soon as you can identify that guy, find him.
I think so. I agree 100%. I have a question for you. This is not a super chat. It's this one from me. In your opinion, because we're talking about the upcoming game with the Browns, who is the bigger player missing this game? Myles Garrett for the Browns or Marquise Pouncey for the Steelers?
Ask you.
I thought you froze up again. I was like, dang it.
Who I think the happiest player is? Not Mason Rudolph, Alejandro Villanueva. Because Myles Garrett isn't playing. Oh, man, he had him on bounce roll skates. I mean, to watch a guy that's like 6'8", maybe, 330 pounds, literally float through the air like he weighed nothing. I mean, it was just astonishing to watch him just get whipped, snap after snap. So I think the biggest loss is on the Steelers with Pouncey being out. I mean, when you have a Devlin Hodges or you have a Mason Rudolph playing at quarterback and you're as challenged as the Steelers are on offense, they need their offensive line intact. That's one of their strengths. So to take a hit to that, something that one of the few things that they can lean on as a strength on that offense, I think the loss is bigger to the Steelers with Pouncey being out.
I'm going to go with what Ryan Kellerman said. He kind of took right out of my head. He says, Finney is better than Garrett's replacement, so it's got to be Garrett. I think that Finney is experienced enough that he'll be able to play at a high level, and I think that Garrett's replacement is probably not as good, as close to as good. So I think Garrett's gonna be the bigger loss for the Browns. Jesse George puts $4.99 in the tip jar and says, giving you guys the rest of my free super chats money because YouTube is just giving away free money, I guess. Benny Snell will play more than Samuels again this game, and will Benny Snell play more than Samuels again and actually do well? What do you think?
I think Samuels will play more. I think they'll give Devlin some options with some short routes to try to move the sticks a little bit by trying to have him not kill them by throwing the ball a little bit underneath. So I think Samuels will help a little bit more and have more snaps. But Jeff, isn't it fascinating when guys have 2 first names as names. That's awesome. Jesse George.
Yeah, he gave us another $4.99. Finney's a good run blocker. Hey,
Hey,
you can
Jesse.
give us $5 and say whatever the heck you want. I mean, ay. So okay, go ahead. Finish with the
So give me your game keys. Your offensive game keys.
oh boy. Don't kill us.
Prayer.
Don't kill us.
Hashtag. That's got to be a T-shirt. Hashtag. Don't kill us. It's got to be a T-shirt.
We're working on a Devlin Hodges shirt, by the way, and that might be in the works. I don't want to say too much too soon. We're working with his people to get some duck shirts printed up. So, anyways, just a little plug there, just a little plug. Keys to win, keys to the game, keys to victory for the offense. Number one, the streak has to end. We said it last week, but we're going to say it again until it actually does end. The streak has to end. 17 straight games, the Steelers have committed a turnover. They can't give the ball away. Not in this game, not ever. Just stop turning the ball over. That's number one. Number two, you have to commit to the run. And it seems like under this regime, and by that I mean Ben's boy, Randy Fiedner, he is so quick to just get away from it. But when I say commit to the run, I don't mean go into run, pass. That's not committing to the run. That's banging your head against the wall and being ridiculously predictable. When I say commit to the run, go out there in good situations with good personnel groupings and run the plays that you know will be successful. And sometimes it's the same play over and over again. That's fine. We've seen it before. We saw it with Butt Naked and Rob when he was in Pittsburgh. They would run the same DeCastro leading trap play over and over again, and he'd break off 20, 15, 20, 10 yards a clip. Hey, if it works, keep doing it. So commit to the run. That's key number two. And key number three is let Hodges make plays. And that could be in a multitude of ways because his skill set is so much different than Mason Rudolph. He is mobile enough that he can run with his legs. He's not afraid to run. Get him out in the open field. Give him the option of throwing or running. Let him throw the ball downfield. He's not going to be as careful. And I don't say that in a negative way. He's not going to be as careful with the ball. He's willing to take some shots, but they've got to dial it up. So those are my three keys. Number one, the streak of turning the ball over has to end. Number two, stay committed to running the ball. And three, you got to let Hodges make plays when it makes sense. What are your thoughts on that, Lance?
I think those are solid. I mean, the turnovers absolutely have to end. I mean, when you're an offense that's struggling and you're playing to your strength, which is your defense and your special teams, you cannot turn the football over, particularly in your negative territory or in the red zone. And you can't give teams extra possessions. You're right. They need to run the football more. The play distribution needs to be tilted towards the run, but it has to be creative. You have to run in not obvious run formations. You have to run in not obvious down in distances where you think you would run. I mean, I don't want to see 2nd and 10 runs. I just don't.
What about draws? He loves the 2nd and 10 draw.
The 2nd and 10 draw with the extra lineman. You're like, come on, dude. Like, this is not going to work.
Never saw that coming.
a little creativity in the run game, and I agree. You have to let Devlin Hodges accentuate his strengths and let him make some plays, and particularly that might be moving around in the pocket. And I think the thing that you see that's the biggest difference between Hodges and Mason Rudolph, one is a statue, one is not a statue. Mason Rudolph felt like if he moved off of his spot, he would get electrocuted because he was just so scared to move. And I don't know if that was as a result when he did move, he got knocked out.
Yeah.
Maybe that was something that, you know,
and there we have it. Lance's internet's acting up again, right as he's getting ready to do the keys.
In that first game was they did not keep Baker Mayfield in the pocket. I think one of the important things that they have to do is when they rush Baker Mayfield, they have to keep him in the pocket. They have to keep him contained. So, that's my first key. Let's see.
You there? You there, Lance?
I'm
Oh
there.
boy.
Well, again, this happens when you disrespect Devlin Hodges. Well, let me get back to my keys. Sorry for the difficulty. I think you have to rush Baker Mayfield smartly. I think when you see in that first game, Baker Mayfield made a lot of plays by extending plays and getting and rolling to his right and extending plays. One thing I've seen with Baker Mayfield, and I asked Chris Carter, big up to Chris Carter, hashtag Carter critiques. It feels like Baker Mayfield does not throw the ball to his left. I don't know if it's just me. He looks like he's extremely right-handed when he throws the football. That's just an aside that I've seen. But one of the things, you have to keep him in the pocket. They really have to shut down the running game. They have to be able to do that in sub packages, and that's the big thing. I think when the Browns are on schedule, when Chubb and Hunt are running the football well, I think that's when you get into trouble. So I think those are the two biggest keys on defense. Landry, I think they did a very good job on Landry and Beckham. I don't think Landry and Beckham can wreck your game alone in and of itself. I just think that defensive line has to continue to hunt. It has to really beat those guys up front, really get sustained pressure and smart pressure, and really try to choke down that run game.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, good. We had a little blip in the radar there. So you like froze for a while, and then all of a sudden it was just as you caught back up. So he's back.
Freeze.
Freeze. So I thought your keys were good, and you with Steeler fans, and I said this on our show on. I think we got a little ahead of ourselves on the post game show, and talked about the upcoming Browns game. And I said fans don't realize how good the defense played in that game just 2 weeks ago. You hold Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. I know they had a big play to Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry scored a touchdown, but those are two very dynamic. Those are two very dynamic players that they kept in check. And Nick Chubb, they kept him pretty much in check. It's going to be tough for this defense. Thankfully, knock on wood, I just did. The defense is pretty much healthy, and they need to be healthy. So I think the Steelers are going to get. You think they get some turnover? What's the over under on the Steelers takeaways? I'll say we'll set the number at 1.5.
I think they're going to need to get at least two. I think they're going to have to get at least 2 to 3 to win this
So
game.
do you think they get 2?
I think they will. I think they'll get an interception. I think they'll turn on. I think they'll get a fumble and an interception. But it's key where they get them to. This is the type of game where, they need a special teams play, I think, in their return game. I think they need to get a turnover in Cleveland's negative territory that gives them a short field. I think they need a lot of things to go right, but they've got to play a really good defensive game because I don't think they really have much margin for error. I don't think if they play poorly, the Steelers have no chance of winning because I think what we see with this team is they have no chance of winning a shootout. Winning a shootout it will never happen. They are going to struggle to score 24 points in any game if they don't have a host of turnovers.
Do you think the defense is susceptible to a shootout? Because when you get into a shootout, the defense can't stop anyone. Do you think
No, I don't.
I don't either, because I don't either. Okay.
I think the only way that the defense would give up a bunch of points would be if the offense had a bunch of turnovers.
Yeah.
And gave offenses I think they could that. And one thing I think we've seen this defense is sometimes as good as they've played, they give up scores after they score, which seems really it seems very weird. I got to ask Dave to chart that, but they like even in the Bengals game, they gave up some scores after they scored and where they had a chance to strangle out the game and choke it out. But let's go to the brass tacks time. Let's get to our predictions. Who you predicted in this game?
I said it after week 11.
Let me guess. Let me guess who you're picking.
You know what? Look, the Steelers are, again, I'm an emotional guy, and I feed on the emotion of the moment. And so my emotions tell me that the Steelers are home underdogs to the Cleveland Browns for the first time since the 1980s, okay? They
Wow.
remember what happened in Cleveland just 2 short weeks ago. They're going to be pissed off. And Mike Tomlin, if there's one thing that he's the best at, it's motivation. He's not. We know he's not the Bill Belichick X's and O's expert, but he is good at getting his team motivated, especially in spots like this. His December record is tremendous. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers take care of business at home against the Cleveland Browns. They harass Baker Mayfield and they remind the Browns why everyone calls them the Clowns, and they beat them to the tune of 27 to 20. 27-20. I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring than people think. I expect a defensive touchdown. Put that in your books. So there you go. 27-20. Pittsburgh wins. And it looks like Lance is frozen. Guys, throw up your predictions here in the live chat. I want to see what you guys think of the game. What are your predictions? I said 27-20. Lance will probably pick the Browns once he gets back on the show. I'm seeing 2013. Keystone Wolf says 42-3. Let's see here. What are some others? 27-20. I think there's going to be some scoring in this game. I hate to say it. I just think there is. I think there's going to be people that 17-10. Snowman says the Steelers win. King Me says 20-10 Steelers. Mesmerize. I'm sorry, it moved on me. Joe Shumway 17-14 Steelers. Big Spence 21-14. There it is. Mesmerize. Minka 28-16 Steelers. Cecil Clark 20-10. Jeffrey Benedict 16-10 Steelers. This isn't Thursday night in Cleveland. Dante Harris 34-18 Steelers. Alex Flores Steelers 14-12. I'm seeing Browns 18-13. Someone's picking the Browns to win. 17-14 Steelers. Raymond Santiago 24-17. There you go. There's a lot of, and this is true too. Ronan says Browns are overconfident with 3-game win streak at home. First road game, Steelers 23, Browns 13. So there are some people picking the Browns. I agree with what Keystone Wolf says. He says, I think they are too. So this is a good spot since Lance is just jettisoned away. I don't know what his prediction is. He did not tell me what it was prior to going on the air. I will get that prediction for you. Up, he might be back. If he is, we'll get his prediction. It's been a rough show for Lance Williams tonight, folks. He's back. What's your prediction, Lance? Everyone wants to know. Lance, hello. Oh, geez. This is a wreck. This is a train wreck. We just want to know your prediction, Lance. Can you hear us? He cannot. All right. So we'll have to get you that prediction for the Steelers preview coming up tomorrow. I'm sorry, Friday. Here's the deal. I'm going to do a show, at least me, maybe Lance will join me. I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow on Thanksgiving Day because we promised you all during the season one podcast a day. It's not going to be a long show. It's basically going to be me thanking you all and part of Thanksgiving and talking some Steelers football. Nothing that's structured. So it might be around midday on the East Coast. So if you're around, join the live chat. We appreciate it. But other than that, it's going to be Friday, the Steelers preview, Saturday, and Friday, Lance might be on for his, I said it, I'm not sure. We'll see about that. And then Saturday will be the burning question with Brian Anthony Davis. That'll be entertaining. And then obviously we'll have the Steelers post game on Sunday. Lance says that he's back. Can you hear us, Lance?
I'm back. I'm back.
Gracious. We haven't had this many problems since back in the Blog Talk Radio days. What in the world is going on?
Well, this is just indicative of the Steeler offense. It's plagued our internet connection, and I'm not going to jinx it. I'm looking at the live chat, and people have said, "Well, don't jinx it." Well, you're right. I'm not going to jinx it. I'm picking the Browns to win. Unfortunately, I'm not going to jinx it. The Duck Devlin Hodges story is a good one. But duck is really a turkey. And if you're having turducken, you're having all of it mixed together. It, they're just going to struggle on offense, I think. The defense is going to do what it can do. I just don't believe in Randy Fichtner enough to get enough out of Devlin Hodges. If I had more confidence in Fichtner, maybe I could pick the Steelers. I think it's going to be a close game, but that offense just doesn't have any weapons.
Yeah, well, there you go. So let's say Snowman puts $2 in the live chat or super chat and says Happy Thanksgiving to Steelers Nation. KXM Scary puts $10 in and says Happy Thanksgiving BTSC. I'm thankful for the informative programs. We appreciate you, absolutely, and everyone else. If you don't tune in tomorrow for our Thanksgiving show, or you miss it live, by all means, check it out on replay. But we want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Just a quick reminder, if you want to help the program, you see a lot of people have done, and they've donated some money. You don't have to do that, but at the same time, you can, or you can just like the videos, comment, subscribe to the channel, and set up your notifications so that you can get either a push button alert on your phone or an email sent to your device so that you know whenever we go live. And that way, if it's on your phone, you could be driving down the road and all of a sudden it comes up. There you go. And so it's great to see $1.99 by Andrea saying, yay, he picked the Browns.
Big up Andrea. Big up to Felicia. Hey, Felicia. Yes, I picked the Browns. No, the Steelers will not be getting Cam Newton. Cam Newton his body will never be right. I mean, Cam Newton has essentially been out for 2 years due to injury. His body is banged up. That's not happening. But there was one thing that I did want to ask you, Jeff. You have any thoughts on Pro Bowl balloting? I read that there are like maybe 5 Steelers leading the ballots. TJ Watt, Devin Bush, Cam Hayward, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Marquise Pouncey. You think those guys are deserving of Pro Bowl bids?
For the most part, yeah. I think so.
I'd say no to Pouncey and probably no to Bush. But Watt, Cameron Hayward, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, yes.
How are you going to say no to Devin Bush?
As a Pro Bowler?
Well, why not?
Huh? He's a guy whose snaps are getting reduced.
Doesn't mean he's not performing well when he's on the field.
Good turnover. He got the turn. Not a Pro Bowler. Like one of the best middle linebackers in the National Football League. AFC.
Just the AFC. Who else is better?
I'd have to think about it, but I mean, just because I don't have middle linebackers rattling off the top of my head, but really,
there's not many marquee inside linebackers anymore in the AFC.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Jamie Collins. I can think of Jamie Collins.
Okay.
I mean, that's one that comes to the top of my head, Jamie Collins. And that guy from the Browns was playing good last week. I forget the guy's name. They played pretty well.
One game.
So one last thing before we get out here, Jeff, watching Lamar Jackson destroy the Rams on Monday made me go back and take a look at the Steelers' first game against the Ravens this year. And I think in that game, the Steelers had 5 sacks and I believe 3 interceptions in that game. And riddle me this, Jeff. I think the Steelers played Lamar, outside of the losses. The Browns just absolutely murdered the Ravens that game. I think they've played against Lamar probably better than any defense this year.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not scared of him. Man, come on. That second half, they shut him down.
They got after him. They
coned him in the pocket and annihilated him. And if it wasn't for Juju Smith-Schuster's fumble, the Steelers win that football game.
Punch to the foot. Yeah, Humphreys punched it out, and and Juju was doing Juju things. But with that, Jeff, are we all done? What's the you gave the run out for the rest of the week? I'm gonna try to get on with you tomorrow at some time. Text me, let me know.
Yeah, it'll be morning. It'll be morning for you. It'll be about midday for me. And Dante Harris says he's getting you a new router for Christmas. So there you go, Lance. You got a gift from watch.
hey, Dante. I don't know why it was bad today. I've pretty much solved these issues. I think it was the use of the browser. I think it works better with Google Chrome. I was using
Everything works better.
Firefox.
Firefox? Who
Yeah.
uses Firefox?
Um, Duck Hodges uses Firefox. No. But yes, I apologize for that. But Jeff, definitely hit me up. I can
Yeah,
possibly jump on with you.
sure.
If it's too early, count me out. You know.
Well, once I get the turkey on the grill, I'll have about 30-minute increments before I got to go back out there. So we'll be able to do it during that time.
Hey, you guys, we're going to go ahead and let you guys start your holiday off right. If you're traveling, hopefully you got us on pod. You're listening to us on podcast, doing your commute or your travels to your home. Hopefully you guys bring in your Thanksgiving safe, get tryptophan, get your, fallout, watch football. Because I think Dallas probably plays Buffalo really early tomorrow.
Second game.
Who's the first game tomorrow?
First game is Chicago, Detroit. Second game is Buffalo and Dallas. And the night game are the Saints and Falcons.
Well, those are probably three snoozers, but hey.
Not the Dallas game. The Dallas game is going to be the one to watch.
Yeah, I like Josh Allen. He does freakish things on the football field when he actually hits people with those missiles that he's throwing. He's throwing missiles at people. But with that, we are going to get off the program. Happy Thanksgiving to Steeler Nation, to everybody listening to the program. And as always, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe. Hashtag just take it.
Hashtag 2 a.m. We'll see you next week for another episode of The Standard is the Standard.